Welcome to Witchcast.
Cause it's Witchcast.
I'm Emily.
I'm Kate.
And we're your co-hosts of this, the Witchcast podcast.
That's right. We're your learning, growing, ever-evolving novice witches here to explore everything under the woo-woo esoteric umbrella.
That's right. And what a beautiful umbrella it is. And today we have a very special guest.
Yes. I'm so excited. She is a Theta healer, a career coach, just an amazing person, fascinating. Please welcome Ellen.
Hi. Thank you both for inviting me. Happy to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Thrilled to have you.
Happy. So a little inside baseball, we were introduced from our good friend Emily Grote, who is a psychic medium, access consciousness coach. We have, there's a lot of modalities that she practices as well. We'll get into your relationship with Emily, but we're so grateful for the community connection.
Likewise. It was super fun to meet you a few months ago, and I'm glad we were able to sync and do this.
Yes, so happy to have you.
Yeah, so thrilled to have you. And, Emily Grote, friend of the pod, fave of the pod, arguably.
Love her.
Very beloved.
So, Ellen, tell us a bit about yourself. Give us the story. And we're also really interested in when you first kind of got involved in spirituality, witchiness, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, no, thanks for that question. It's a
doozy.
It's a doozy one, but it's a very essential one.
Like to start, yeah.
Yeah. I think. Well, I don't know if obviously you can't tell through a podcast, but I was born prematurely, 2 months premature, and so I ended up having cerebral palsy physically, and so I think just by growing up, and I grew up in the 80s, so it was kind of like the tail end of segregation, if you want to call it, for people with disabilities, and like I remember when I was preschool age, like nobody tells you what to do in those instances. They say your daughter has cerebral palsy. The if you look at my medical records, it says I have a birth defect, or I'm a birth defect, which is very interesting, right? So in the 80s, you have that sort of mindset. And then, so my mom, she was looking at different schools and where to put me. And in the preschool, they were just used to, don't expect your daughter to know how to write. Don't expect her to learn, she's probably going to be different. She's probably not going to be able to do things by herself. And of course, my mom, luckily, she has a science background. And she also just let me be who I was. So she saw me going at it with the crayons and wanting to keep up with my brother, even though like I couldn't walk, but I could crawl. So she was kind of just observing me and kind of like, I kind of think she's different, but so she did put me in mainstream. So I was mainstream quite easily. But then, of course, it's like you still have that sort of barrier of like, you're different, you look different, you use a walker, you have braces, even though you're in a mainstream classroom, you know. So it's like, so I was always like part of the crowd, but also separate from the crowd. And I was typically most of the time by myself. Not because, so because of that, I think when you're by yourself, you sort of are friends with your intuition better, like your intuition and yourself, and you know who you are just much more easily because everything, because you are essentially your own best friend. So I think, it's like, yeah, so there was always this unconscious, like, that's them, this is me. And so it's like, yeah, like everyone, like all quote unquote witches, you grow up wanting to be part of the mainstream but never quite feeling like it. You feel different things but you don't know how to explain it. Like my aunt, she passed away when I was 5, and I could feel things but I didn't know how to, there was no one to tell me like, yeah, it's like, yeah, that is your aunt, that is, and so it's like, so you kind of grow up in those, in two different worlds, so to speak, and you try to mend it together. And so it was, for me, it was like trying to do surgeries to kind of not heal my body, but to, like, I've had surgeons that said, like, oh, if you do this surgery, especially when I was 8, if you do this surgery, we can have you walk. And so I did the surgery, and it actually left me weaker.
Wow.
So, and you just learn things. You learn, it's like, okay, so that was a lesson in, like, learning that you're not supposed to be like everybody else. And also it gave me a sense of, like, okay, there is the medical field, which is very valid and very helpful for many people, but it's not the answer to everything, you know? And then also, because you have a disability, that doesn't mean you're broken. That doesn't mean that you have to be fixed. And everyone that looks at you as either less than or even an inspiration, that's for them. That's not for you,
Oh, word.
you know? And it's taking me a while to own that.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have to feel like an inspiration just because somebody says I am. But at the same time, I'm not less because somebody says I am.
Absolutely.
So it's, so you learn all those things. And then I think in my 20s, I'm sorry, this is a long story.
No,
No,
So in my 20s, I, turned to spirituality, and Kabbalah came into my life. It was Jewish mysticism. So it was more than just read this text and everything will be okay. There was reason behind the stories. And so I just felt very captivated by it, that it explained the yin and yang, if you would, for a lot of things that I was asking, like it was the first time that, like, really, I feel it was the first step in, for me, to find all those things, like astrology, like like energy, like, different realms. So it was the first modality that introduced me to that language in a very structured way. And so I learned through that. And like all modalities, you kind of gravitate towards the modality, and then the modality becomes you. And I think, some people stay there, some people like it, some people need it for their identity. So for those who study, like, any sort of spirituality and use that as their life, kudos to them. But for me, it's like it got to a point where, because in the Jewish, in the Kabbalistic calendar, every Rosh Hashanah you do kind of like an assessment of yourself and where you are, and etc. And I noticed, after being in the center for 14 years, I was asking the same questions. Like, when will I be accepted? What more can I do to be pure? It was the same questions. And also for me, I didn't know myself. Like, everything, all the projects that I did, like the Zohar project, or like donating, or like spirituality for kids, or whatever, they were all thriving. Like my friends, they were all thriving. We were getting more events, people were more interested, we were handing out more Zohars. But inside, I just felt empty
Yeah.
all the time. I would just come home to my apartment, and that's it. And I did that for 14 years. I didn't have a job. I didn't, So when I had that realization that, the modality is thriving, but I'm not thriving, I looked for other things. And so for me, one of the things with Theta Healing, which I found answered questions beyond that modality. And even when I was doing Theta Healing, and I love that modality, there are things that you will fit the modality, but then there are things that you have to realize for yourself is just part of who you are. So for me, I am a theta healer, but I also, in my client session, I use every other thing, anything that works for that person, and essentially whatever the creator tells me to use.
Right.
So it
More
could
of
be
an eclectic approach, in a
yeah,
very literal, like eclectic witchcraft is like taking what
exactly,
works for you, you know?
exactly. And it's kind of like, because when you have a session, you're there for your client,
Mhm.
and you're speaking the language that your client needs to hear. And the creator, source, the beginning, whatever you want to call it, will communicate with you the way you need to be, you understand. So
Mm.
a lot of times the creator will show me, okay, da 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 da, or even just asking the question, okay, I don't know what this is. Can we like take care of this in whichever way needs to be taken care of, or even in a way that it's okay if that way is something that I don't understand,
Mhm.
because the creator knows, and then you could just take it from there.
Right.
So
You're more of a conduit.
yeah,
I
exactly,
love that.
exactly. So
Quick digression. So
sure.
we've talked on the podcast before about Kabbalah. We have not talked about Theta Healing. Just for people that haven't heard of it before, can you give a quick overview of what that is?
Yeah.
And
Sure. So Theta Healing was created by Vienna Stable. She's a very loving, intuitive being.
Mhm.
And so she has a very Midwestern, very like traditional, but kind of hippie outlook on life. I hope she's okay with me saying that. I'm sure she is. And she gravitates towards people who need to be healed, obviously. And but she always had this intuition, even when she was a little girl, that she could go up and speak to God whenever she wanted. So she always knew that. So basically, she's able to theta healing. She's able to teach you how to go up to the creator of all that is and just ask, and in the highest and best way. And in the highest and best way, like you go up to the creator, the 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 plane of creation, and you ask for the highest and best definition, or the highest and best version of love, or the highest and best version of healing. And oftentimes that includes looking at beliefs that maybe a person has, because we all hold on to things because they serve us.
Mm.
So even if you have a disability, or if you have an ailment or what have you, there's something that it's doing that is helping you. And so in theta healing, and I think this is what Vienna's journey was all about, is finding what she was holding on to, and what that was serving her. Like, for example, and this is my opinion, this is not what she says in the book, but for example, like one of the things she was definitely doing is like helping, like finding different ways of healing, you know finding, you could do this, you could do this, you could do this, or you could do this, or you could also go up to the creator and ask, you know and it's like, and you will be given as much as you can at that moment. It's not good or bad or right or wrong. So a lot of times when you do ask for healing, it's like it can be healed, which is amazing, or you can strip away a layer, which is also amazing.
Mm.
But you get more and more closer to what you need at that you get what you need at that point in your life, you know
So, as a theta healer, as a practitioner,
hmm
would you say that the essence of what you do for clients then is like the approaching of the creator? Is that the, like, in terms of like what the distilling it down to?
hmm hmm
Yeah, like what does a
Yeah.
typical session kind of look like for you?
So a typical session is I go up to the creator, And well, first thing, I always ask the my clients what they want to work on,
Mm-hmm.
because it's the client session. So basically, the way Theta Healing works is you're really just witnessing the creator interacting with your client.
Hmm.
Because in Theta Healing, because a lot of times we ask God for God do this, God do this, but a lot in Theta Healing, it's a collaboration. And the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, we're not, there's no way in any modality that we can have all the answers,
Mhm.
you know. But Creator has all the answers. And in Theta Healing, all Creator wants you to do is witness it. That's it. So, in essence, you're just creating the space for your client and creator to collaborate.
Mm.
And the healing can be, it is up to the client as well as the person who's seeing it as well as creator. So oftentimes Vienna says you just need like one party to believe this. So if you believe that the healing is possible, the healing is possible. She has clients that come and has this belief that she's going to heal them.
Mm.
Okay, so it's all to do with beliefs and where you are at that point. Okay, and then sometimes the person, a healing, like, we often think, just based on being human, that a healing is 100% normal, 100% better, whatever better is
Mm.
in our definition. But a lot of times it's like better could be like you can take a step, or you can make a movement that you couldn't do before. That is healing, you know? And so it's just like opening your mind up to possibilities, or maybe it's just like a connection to your own body
Mm.
that you didn't have before. So, yeah.
I
All
think
right.
that really brings up a great point that I kind of wanted to touch on that you mentioned earlier. And this is something that you and I also spoke about when we first chatted back a few months ago,
Mm-hmm.
that I really have been thinking about since we spoke. It's that idea that being disabled is not a disability. And I want to quote you like properly. You worded it in such a beautiful way, but that, um, I know that we spoke that about how this like the reframing of
Yeah.
how we view our differences, as not things to fix, right? Things to immediately make better, that we are not normal or wrong, but that these are just things that we need, that that people are just unique and have different needs and different um, you know uh, allowances or need to function in the world differently than maybe
Mm-hmm.
how like mainstream capitalism has created for us. I would love for you to speak about that and a bit more, because I think that that's such a important point of view that ties into kind of everything you've just been speaking about. um
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So, full disclosure, it is one of gr- the questions I have for myself, like maybe every day. Because part of it, and I know, like in Theta Healing, and I know, like in many modalities, I will get many different points of view, and depending on who I'm talking to, they will tell me like, "Oh, I had a dream, and you were walking."
Mm.
And when I was little, I dabbled like in my teens in Christianity, and a lot of times they would say, "Just if you pray on it, or can we pray for you?"
Mm.
and things like that. And I all the time I had this feeling that like, but I'm fine. I like
Mm-hmm.
I can't explain it, but it's like, but I'm fine. I use a walker, but I'm fine. I use a wheelchair, but I'm fine. And I always have this, but then everybody's like, "Oh, but you should do this surgery, and then you could do so much more." And even with Theta Healing and Vienna and people that I've met, they've been very kind and very like Vienna did say I would walk in 2 months, and I
Mm.
didn't walk in 2 months, but actually, I probably did. It just wasn't the point of view that I had what would be walking. You know, like for example, Vienna has told me that, and I was like, well, I've been doing my downloads, I've been doing, but then I realized, but I actually have a much more holistic relationship with my body and
Mm-hmm.
with my legs and with my whole system than I ever have.
Mm.
Like, I have a relationship with my body.
Mhm.
And I realized that, okay, yeah, I could get to a point where I'm basically, instead of saying, why aren't I have basically started getting to this point of like, I'm on my way. I'm
Mm.
on my way to being more every day. And the thing about like, oh, but to disability, to your point, Kate, about disability, oh, well, they can't see, they can't hear, they can't, it's like, well, but, but they're so much more intuitive and they're so much more understanding. And part of, I know that I always look for a solution because in my everyday life, I have to. I live in New York City and the subway elevators don't always work.
Yeah.
So I have to find a way from the platform, if an elevator is broken, to I have to find a way. It's not the next stop, but it's like 4 stops, and I have to plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to, when things don't go my way, it's very, very easy for me to find a reason because that has been my whole entire life. It's like, but what is the silver lining? But what are you learning? But why is this actually a benefit?
Mm-hmm.
Because that has been my whole entire life, to find a way, to find a solution, and to appreciate. It's easy for me to appreciate things because
Mm-hmm.
that's how I grew up,
Mm.
you know? So I don't feel like I have a disability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I have a wheelchair and a walker to get me through, but I feel like um I f- I feel like I'm me. And
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
because I don't see myself, so I don't feel hindered. Like, how could I feel hindered? It's just how my body functions.
Right.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not a yeah.
I remember you saying, I
Yeah.
was looking at my old notes from our first convo, and you were saying that like you people who are differently abled are not limited just because they function in the world differently.
No, it's just how they function.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that it's always the other person that
Mm-hmm.
says they can't.
Right.
Right.
It's very interesting.
Right. I think it's so fascinating because it's such a great reframing, because it is about how it's about different perspectives, like you were saying, right? Like it's
Hmm.
society. It's like we're not discounting the difficulty
Hmm.
or the struggle of day-to-day life living in, especially in a society that does not cater to your needs or abilities of
Hmm.
function.
Hmm.
But who is the one claiming that a person is
Hmm.
disabled or
Hmm.
less than or broken or whatever, I'm using air quotes,
Hmm.
by the way, for
Hmm.
people who are
Yeah,
listening,
yeah.
right? Like you said, you are human. And then
Hmm.
this might be a bit simplified. I don't want to be pedantic, but I feel
No.
like I'm also thinking about race a bit in this too, of like,
Yeah.
no one would ever tell someone who is of a different race, born in like a white supremacist society, to change their race because they are not the mainstream quote unquote normative race.
Yeah.
Why do we feel like it's okay to tell people who are, I mean, obviously there are some people who still believe that, but
Yeah.
you know, I think though it's true. Anything when we talk about ableism,
Yeah.
It's also hand in hand with sexism and racism and you know, any
Yeah.
sort of kind of
Yeah.
prejudice and discrimination and oppression based on what are perceived differences, right? Things that we
Yeah.
deem to be not desired
Yeah.
in the normal mainstream like capitalist society
Yeah.
that we live in. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and it's the way I view it is that it's just a sense of maturity. You know, it's a very you know, it's a very the way I view it is like it's a very young outlook to say, okay, you are different than I am, so therefore you are the problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
You
very
need to be
young,
changed.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very young outlook. An older outlook is like, okay, you're different, but what do we have in common?
Mhm.
You know, so it's basically it's a sense of maturity, and it's a sense of like it's in essence growing up. Like I feel like we as society, yes, there are things we definitely we need to change, but it's those growing pains. It's us as a society. You know, a lot of people say, you know, we're not as mature as we used to be, but we're not we're it's like the old ways. It's because we've kind of graduated from the old ways, the old way of thinking. The old
Mm.
way of thinking is black and white, right and wrong, this race, you know, it's very categorizing. And I feel like society today, you know, it's a very quiet it's a very quiet evolution in the way of thinking, in the way of like it's not about like it's like yes, right now it's anger because you have to start somewhere.
Mm.
Okay, so right now even in my own community, my disability community, there are people that are angry, and rightfully so. And I hear things like ableism, and also that like I'm not disabled, society made me disabled. All entirely true. Okay, all entirely true. And there's and it's part of the growing up, right? The growing up is like you go along with it because you don't know anything else, so you go along with it, which is where we were for a long time. And then there's anger, you know, which is like that's the next step. And then there's anger, and then there's like, okay, this exists, what can I do to help it grow, you know? So there's all these steps that humanity and the world basically are going through. I mean, that's how I view it. But I feel like the anger is good, and then going past the anger is good. I mean, it's like we're kind of chipping away at things, you know? And I think it's good that we're having these conversations of, you know, even I see programs even looking within their own race, like Gilded Age was even looking into the different shades, right? Even in their own culture, they would have conversations like that, you know. And even in the Asian culture, you know, we have conversations of, you know, Chinese, Korean, Japanese. We have those conversations, right? And so it's like not to get too far off, but yeah, we have that. We have that like we're all trying to figure out, chipping away in the way we know how, um, to find like what do we gravitate towards. And for me, I gravitate towards like seeing seeing what I bring to the table,
Mm-hmm.
and how I can help others evolve without without pain, you
Mm.
know, unnecessary pain, should I say. Um, yeah, so that's that. I could also go into like how I use that in my day to day, if you like. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think I would love to talk about. I guess with the theta healing, even though its
Hmm.
origin story is so much about the physical body,
Yeah.
as I'm thinking that here's my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong. Given your sort of attitudes, and I think they're right. I agree with you that the body is not necessarily like the way that your body isn't a limitation that necessarily is to be fixed.
No.
How do you approach working with people in theta healing in terms of
Thanks. Yeah. Yeah. So basically, what I do is I tap into, okay, how is this serving you?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's teaching me this, it's teaching me this. Okay, would you like to know how that feels? Like, it's teaching me how to love. Okay, so would you like to know how loving actually feels? And that you already know how to love without having to have any um, unnecessary ailments. Sure, because also in theta healing, what you're doing is you're channeling through the creator, but in a scientific form, you are also talking to the subconscious. So the subconscious is where, I mean, Vienna says it many different ways: theta brainwave, the subconscious, what have you. But basically, you are collaborating with the subconscious, and you're saying, "Okay, thank you for that belief. I don't need that anymore. I've learned that lesson, and so I can let that go." And so that is what theta healing does. I do other techniques, which, like, it's going into that vibration, and going into that vibration and seeing the root of it, because basically into the vibration and going all the way to the root of it, which is essentially creator. And once you find creator, it's like, you found the root of it. Can you thank all the lessons that vibration has shown you, and can you release it? And so that's also the other technique that I typically do as well, because sometimes with change, you can change everything all the time, but it will also always morph into something else. It could be good, it could, whatever. So it's like, you could also nullify it. So it's up to you, whatever works. So yeah.
I love that. I feel like it's a very appropriate topic to be talking about right now too, during when this comes out. I think we're going to be still in eclipse season, which is like a lot about letting go of. I've been thinking a lot about like letting go what doesn't serve you anymore.
Yeah.
Very tower card energy sometimes, as painful as it can be. But I was just talking to a friend about this recently, of what are these. I think a lot of times we cling to belief systems, assumptions about ourselves, about others, about the world, and build our
Right.
lives around them, right? And then it affects everything, both psychological, physical, spiritual, um, and we don't even really notice we're doing it.
Yeah, and then some of those beliefs aren't even yours.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of them probably aren't.
Like, how many beliefs of disability are group consciousness? And it's like, am I not healed because I'm not healed, or am I not healed because according to the group consciousness I am not healed?
Mm-hmm. And I think this is so interesting and tricky, because of course, my cognitive dissonance, devil's advocate voice in my head, I don't want to at all discount people's actual
Right.
experiences and lived realities. And I don't think that's at all what you're doing either.
No.
I think we just want to put that out there, that everyone goes through their own personal experiences, in terms of illness, chronic illness,
Correct.
um, physical ailments, what have you, mental health. Um, but I will say that, something that's been for me really fascinating over the last couple of years, like in social media, is this idea of unpacking worth tied to productivity. Because I was diagnosed with a chronic illness a couple years ago that's pretty rare, and it knocked me on my feet. I wasn't, and it's funny because you say this, I actually had asked creator, let's call it, or like whatever, the universe. I had made a deal that I wanted to slow down that year. I was like, I want to take it easy. And then I got diagnosed with this chronic illness that literally made me have to take it easy. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very funny, even though I was
Mm-hmm.
not in a lot of, I wasn't very happy about it. I was in a lot of pain. But it was okay, like, sometimes I'm just too powerful, I guess, for my own good.
But you are, that is so interesting that you had that innate awareness, because a lot of times I will have clients that say, but I just want everything to be easy, and it's like, and I don't understand why this thing is slowing me down. Well,
Hmm.
because you wanted it to be easy. you know you
Yeah,
know
yeah.
and also I will have, even in my career coaching, I will have my adult students come to me and say, I'm doing this, and then on top of that, I just learned that I'm diagnosed with this.
Mm,
So a lot of, and so sometimes, with all due respect to whatever people believe, you
mhm,
know I, in terms of disability, I say, okay, first of all, I'm glad you found that diagnosis, because that can explain a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
However, I also want to just present you with something, and I tell them, if I'm projecting, please just ignore me. But I just want to present you with, diagnoses help with medical conditions, in terms of doctors, they know how to prescribe and things like that. That's what diagnoses help them to do. Now, it helps the medical field know what to do, but it doesn't mean because you have this diagnosis, you have to be a certain way,
mhm,
or that, what do you want to do? Do you, and it's totally up to you either way. Do you want this diagnosis to determine your life? Or do you just want to say, okay, this is how I function, this is how I learn, this is how I am in the world. Now,
mhm.
how do I want to live, knowing that I function this way?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and then you can see it, like with some of my students, you can see, like, oh, so I don't have to be, with all due respect to people who want their diagnosis to be their identity, because sometimes it's really powerful. Some people take great pleasure being a certain diagnosis. That's fantastic. Okay, but it's like, but you can let it empower you, you can let it be part of you, but you don't have to let it limit you.
Mm.
You don't have to let any diagnosis or anything limit you. Because I have cerebral palsy, I can't do this. That's just so weird. Like, why would we give our power to something and say, it's because of that I'm this way?
Mm.
No. It just, to me, that that's what I try to instill in my students, is that, like, you can have this diagnosis and be who you are, and only this diagnosis is giving you a little piece of how you function in the world, and that's it.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Right.
so, yeah.
I think, like, also a lot of people have found too that they've had to, even with Western medical help and a diagnosis,
Yeah.
it's still so much on you, like you said, to your relationship with your own body to
Mm-hmm.
figure out what works best for you and your body.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I
Mm-hmm.
know, at least for my illness, I'm in all the online forums, I read all these posts. I
Mm-hmm.
had to do a lot of my own research. A lot of my doctors, I
Mm-hmm.
just changed doctors, weren't giving me the answers that, or weren't helping, or the medications
Yeah.
around weren't working properly. And so a lot of, I think, the quote unquote wellness, health journey is about trial and error, but developing, and this is something I really struggle with, is like, I don't like to have a relationship with my body typically. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
act so separate from my physical being.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to force myself to be like, oh, and I still, to this day, I'm like, oh, I'm having daily headaches and my lips are really chapped. And I'm like, I think I'm really dehydrated. Like, I'm not on top of my fluids.
Mm-hmm.
This is my body telling me what it needs. I need
Mm-hmm.
to drink
Mm-hmm.
more fluids. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just like, I think little things like that too, of just developing that relationship and finding what works for you, like kind of what you were talking about earlier, in that eclectic sense of, like, it could be some Western medicine, it could be some, spiritual stuff, it could be things for your mental health. Like, you kind of have to take charge of your own self, I think ultimately.
Yeah, and I think we have to let go of this belief, and maybe I could just be projecting and talking to myself, that it's this or that.
Mhm.
It's like, oh, doctors are, it's like, oh, Western medicine is, oh, I'm not going to do any Western medicine. I'm only going to do energy healing, or I'm only going to do this. I'm only going to do that. Or one of the things that I've said to myself, which has taken a long time, it's like, can I just let myself know that I've been healed? Like, yeah, I still use my walker and my wheelchair, but I'm healed.
Right.
And
Well,
that's
sometimes healing isn't about, changing the body. It's about changing the heart, the mind, the group, like the
Yeah.
way people look at you or think about,
Yeah. How you
Exactly.
other
think about
people's hearts
yourself.
and minds,
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like because I see so many people go through ailments. It's like, I'm tried this and tried this, and nothing worked. No, that's not true. Actually, going through this and trying this actually led you here.
hmm
So I think it's like we have this like expectations of ourselves to be absolutely perfect,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and whatever. And it's like, if we just know that we're evolving, and like, Kate, I love how you have that relationship with your body now. Like, your different signs, and it's okay to embrace those signs. You're tired today, and that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, the busyness and whatnot,
Right.
for
And it's
sure.
a growing, ever evolving, like non-linear journey, right? Like I'm gonna
Mhm.
be really bad to my body sometimes and not listen, and then there's gonna be times I'm gonna be really in tune. And I think giving yourself grace with that journey too. And
Mhm.
we are getting close to time. We
Yeah.
want to draw a card, but I also real quick want to tie this to something you were hinting at earlier, which is I think like the anger, the like conversations we're all having
Mhm.
in because I think it's on the forefront of everyone's minds, and I've been thinking about this a lot too. Emily and I have talked about this a lot. I know you and I spoke about this earlier, Ellen. Like where we are as a society, where we are as a culture,
Mhm.
especially right now here in America, it's like with the government that we have.
Yeah.
We don't need to dwell on that
Yeah.
specifically, but
Yeah.
I think what is I'm really working through personally is my mindset and around my relationship to current events,
Mm.
international events,
Yeah.
political events, of moving away from this kind of complete hopeless despair. I think I see
Mhm.
a lot of sentiment online that's like, we're fucked. Like, it's all going to burn down. Like, forget
Mhm.
it. The apocalypse is here, like,
Mhm.
and I think there's some kind of like fun, you know, joy out of like kind of just being
Yeah.
like, fuck it, I'll burn it.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, like, I was so depressed last winter
Yeah.
because I was just constantly consuming the news and
Yeah.
just kind of overwhelming. I just had overwhelming dread the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And I finally kind of had a breakthrough in spring. It could have been seasonal depression, but I was like, oh, I need to reframe how I think about this from a place of joy and hope more than despair. That even
Yeah.
I'm not, again, not discounting everything that's going on, not
Right.
discounting how terrible things are that
Right.
are happening, not putting my head in the sand and not fighting or donating and doing all the things that I want to do as from my activism, but like doing it with the sight of what could be in the future, which to me is a better world. And I think
Yeah.
overall, like you were saying, people are working through that anger. People are
Yeah.
evolving and growing. I think overall, we do, of course, have some people that are just always going to kind of fester. But like, I do have to have hope that we are overall evolving as a people to be better, more compassionate people.
Yeah. No, well, we are, because if the way I look at it is like, the final step to like transforming is like, you see all the gunk.
Mm,
you know you see, we've done so much good and so much evolving and so much growing. What's left? The gunk, the little things on the bottom that you have to get to the nitty. That's what's showing up, and that's why it feels so horrendous. But that's how much work we've done.
mm,
Mm.
We've done so much. You've done so much cleaning that you are just seeing the things that we never saw before. You know, you're getting in those crevices, and that's all that's left. That's
I love that.
really all that's left. And so it's like those things that are just holding on, those last pieces. And it's like we're so close. That's why you see there's a witchcraft section in Barnes and Noble. Like that, there's tarot cards all over the place.
Yeah.
People have their dogs, their pets, they can't let go of them because their pets are so healing. You know, it's like we've never been at a place in humankind at this point of like emotion is right there. Emotion is the first layer you see because we've worked all those other layers. So yeah, so
oh, that makes me feel so good. We're just in the gunk right now. We just gotta.
We're just in the gunk. You're just
got one more layer to scrape off.
Yeah.
It's so gross, but it's worth. It'll be worth it. We can do it.
It's gonna smell fresh when it's gone.
And it's like you got to go through it.
Yes, you got to go through it.
You got to go through it, and then you'll find creator, and then you'll find your essence.
Yay!
Boom.
Yeah.
You know.
I so mote that be. I ditto. Word. I love that. On that note, do we want to draw a card, Em?
Yeah. Wait, I have one more question for you before we do.
Oh,
no. This is a pressing question from the opening. How'd you meet and find Emily Grote?
Yes, we forgot to talk about that. I thought about that earlier and I totally got distracted.
Yes. The most important question.
Emily.
Emily is a very unique and lovely soul. Yeah. So when I moved back to New York, one of my friends was doing Access Consciousness. I took the foundations course. And then I'm like, okay, I got to practice this thing. Part of me was on the fence because I had, I had let go of Kabbalah and didn't want to go back into modality. But I'm like, you know what? Let's go to a practice group. I went to Emily's practice group in Brooklyn. All the practice groups in Access Consciousness, I don't know why, but they all have steps. Don't know why. But anyway, like physical steps. So
stairs. Yeah.
But Emily was very kind. She said, I don't think I can do that again because I can't lift your chair. But even though my chair is, but it's like for her to do it. But I will come to you. And I knew I broke something. I know I'm very blessed because normally it's the other way around. Normally for me, it's like, oh, we have a step, so I guess that's it. And I usually have to find another way around. But Emily is such a lovely person. She was willing to not only meet me halfway, but she's like, you know what? I like you as a friend, so let's continue doing this. And you know what? I'll come to you. And that was so, that just speaks to who she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's so great. Yeah, we love the little yellow house. It is definitely not accessible though. I don't even know. I don't even know how they function in it.
Yeah. So one of those things,
Yeah.
Make the whole world accessible. There, we're done.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's.
Yeah, would be good.
All right.
All right. Shall I draw a card?
Today? Yeah, let's do it.
I have my Druid Craft Tarot deck today, and I feel like it was asking to be used because it was the only one I could find. I could have sworn one of them was right here, but no.
Your Druid deck kicked the other one in a corner, so it could be
like, get out of here. Ooh, I got a card falling right out.
Wow.
I guess I'll do two because I want to also draw one. All right, let's see here. So the card that fell out is the Queen of Swords.
Ooh.
And the card that I pulled is the Four of Cups.
Oh, nice.
And I'll take a photo of them for the Instagram. What we have here is the Queen of Swords is a woman in a long purple dress with sort of like a blue cape that's torn, and she's holding a sword, and she's got her eyes closed, and she's sitting on a throne. And there is a like craggly tree on a cliff and a blue sky behind her, and she's sitting on a rock. And then the Four of Cups, we have a man who kind of looks like a hobbit in like a red velvet cape, like curled on a mossy tree, with cups around him, and he's sort of staring reflectively off, looking slightly miserable.
That's interesting. Okay, so...
And then do you want to hear what the book says? Okay, so the Four of Cups, the book says fallow period, stagnation, limitation. And I should say that this deck is by Philip and Stephanie Cargome with illustrations by Will Worthington.
Yeah.
Nice. And according to Biddy, and you drew them both upright, right?
Yes. The Queen of Swords may or may not have been reversed because she fell out. Yeah.
Well, the Four of Cups upright, Biddy has as meditation, contemplation, apathy, and reevaluation. I always remember that it's like, there's the three cups. They're like kind of bored and contemplating, and then there's the one spilled over, right? The fourth one. So yeah, I think it's kind of. I think it's very appropriate for our conversation today. But go ahead, read us this.
Yeah, and specifically in this card, he's got, or the person has three cups. One is spilled over, and then there's a fourth one that's hidden in the tree. Which, like, the Four of Cups is often about, like, hidden opportunities or up-and-coming opportunities or, like, a time where you're just sort of, like, ruminating.
Yeah, kind of feels like that time, you know?
Yeah, right. And then, so our Queen of Swords, I have independent, graceful, analytical from the book.
Yeah.
Meaning a need to be objective, an intellectual endeavor, success in communications, exams, writing, politics, or debates.
Yes, and Biddy says independent, unbiased judgment, clear boundaries, direct communication. So, same.
Yeah. And when I think of her, I always think of, like, she is the queen of, like, intellect and communication, you know?
Yeah.
Like, whereas the king has like, a certain sort of, like, removed balance, the queen is more, like, in it, you know?
Yeah. Oh, interesting. I love that.
Always the queen.
Yeah. Queen, I always like to, somebody said this, I don't know who, I can't remember, but the queen being, like, the essence of the deck. Of the suit. And was it the king was like the master or something like that?
Yeah, I guess I usually think of the queen as being like the one who's sort of like at the top of the like, yeah, like she's in her power and she has these like capabilities, or it calls on you to like find those capabilities and be the queen of it. Whereas the king is more like he's a little more mastermind. He's a little more like thinking analytically about how to use it. Whereas she's just like, She is. If that makes sense.
I'm getting Glenn Close energy. I don't know why. Well, I think this speaks to, it's so interesting to get these two cards, and I want to hear your thoughts too on, but I feel like this speaks to like the Queen of Swords having that like that mental clarity, that conviction, that confidence, being able to see through, kind of the fog and speak what she wants and what she needs clearly, and also maturity, right? Like you talked about being young and versus growing up and being mature, Ellen. And then like the Four of Cups is actually a very youthful card to me. Like it is kind of like a wishy-washy like college student or high school student type vibe to me of like, I don't know what I want and I'm kind of bored and I don't want to get rid of any of my options, but I also don't want to commit to any of my options, and also maybe there's a possibility I'm not even thinking of yet, or I'm not even really aware of. And so I just think of, or it's a very like youthful energy card to me, because I feel like that was a lot of my 20s. So like, I'm not happy, but I don't know what I want. So it's very interesting to get those two together. What are your thoughts on?
So I feel like it's just the vibe we're in. We know we're queens. I mean, let's just own it, right?
Yeah.
We know we're queens, and we're rumicating, and we're like, for a long time, people were telling me, Ellen, you need to do a podcast. You need to speak. You need to. I'm like, yeah, okay. So it's like when Kate's like, you want to do this? I'm like, yep, I'm gonna start this thing. So it's like, yeah, it's like, that this is the path you need to be on. It's September. We have all this stuff. You're just starting somewhere. It's like,
Mhm.
remember, you just need to start somewhere. Even if it's just like, I don't know, you're starting, and it's like, with our intention that we all came with this podcast about, like, we want to just move it forward. I mean, I feel like the three of us, and maybe those who are listening, you just want to move forward. And even if it's like, I don't know, just spill over a cup, at least you moved forward, right? But you're in your power, you're on your way. It's all good, you know? So
I love that. Great interpretation of the two together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, Virgo, stop being perfectionists and just do it.
Knock over the cup already. It's good.
This is reminding me that your day job is as a career coach, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
We didn't even get to talk about that. I wanted to. There's so much to talk about.
Yes.
Well,
another time. Yeah.
Another time we'll have you back on. So tell us, Ellen, how can people reach you if they want to learn more, if they want to book a session with you, if they want to talk to you as a career coach or as a healer? How can people find you?
Yeah. First, I this is just coming to me, so I'm in the Theta Healing database under Ellen Chang. So if you just go to thetahealing.com, I'm under Ellen Chang. That's one way of reaching me. My website is Empowered Dis, DIS. So it's Empower Dis, DIS, as in disability, obviously. So you can always go to my website, and you can contact me there, or you can reach out to this lovely. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Emily, for this invite. They can reach out to you as well with my
definitely.
personal details. So yeah. So that's,
Great.
You can hit us up at witchcastpodcast@gmail.com if you want to reach out to Ellen, and we will have her website on our website as well.
Yeah, witchcastpodcast.com. Yeah, so feel free to DM or email us. We'll help connect you to Ellen if you wish. But also, we'll also link to her website as well on our Instagram and our website, which you can also follow at Witchcast Podcast on Insta.
Yeah, we're mixing up.
We're mixing our plugs. Yeah, we're merging our plugs with yours.
Witchcast Podcast is our Instagram. Witchcastpodcast@gmail.com is our email. Witchcastpodcast.com is our website.
Yes,
and while you're out there on the internet, Kate.
Yeah, I mean, if you like it, if you enjoy what you're listening to, give us a little 5 stars. Give us a little rating.
What
little
if
review.
You left a review?
Give us
what if that review
comment?
was 5 stars?
Yeah.
Huh? Just a thought.
That would be great.
Well, I think that covers it for today.
Thank you so much, Ellen.
Oh, yeah, right. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Thank you so much, Ellen.
Thank you. Thank you both. This has been lovely.
Our pleasure.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
Yeah. And until next time,
Hex
yeah!
'Cause it's Witchcast.